Cormac McCarthy's The Road is a haunting tale of survival, morality, and human resilience. Set in a bleak, post-apocalyptic world, it follows a father and his young son as they journey through desolate landscapes, struggling to survive while holding onto the remnants of humanity. Unlike conventional adventure stories, The Road focuses less on external events and more on existential reflection, ethical dilemmas, and psychological tension. What makes this novel weird and fascinating is McCarthy's sparse prose, his fragmented punctuation, and the relentless depiction of an environment stripped of civilization and comfort. Readers experience not only the physical journey, but also the emotional and philosophical terrain, the choices, fears, and small moments of hope that define life in extreme circumstances. In this video, we will explore 20 of the weirdest, strangest, and most thought-provoking facts about The Road. Let's go. Fact 20. Bleak realism. Setting McCarthy's world in The Road is strikingly realistic in its hopelessness, yet it also borders on surreal. The landscape is described as lifeless, gray, and covered in ash, stripped of vegetation, color, and warmth. Cities and towns are abandoned, stores are empty, and nature itself seems to have withdrawn. This unusual level of environmental devastation creates a sense of unease. While most post-apocalyptic novels retain some semblance of the familiar, McCarthy's vision is almost abstract in its emptiness. The constant grayness and absence of life amplify the father and son's vulnerability, highlighting the profound psychological impact of isolation. Readers experience the setting not only as a backdrop, but as an oppressive character shaping the story's moral and emotional contours. Fact 19. Sparse, minimalist prose. One of the novel's most striking and unusual aspects is McCarthy's writing style. He uses short, fragmented sentences, minimal punctuation, and almost no quotation marks for dialogue. This sparse prose mirrors the desolation of the landscape and the stripped-down existence of the characters. The stylistic choice is weird because it forces readers to slow down, focus on each word, and actively interpret dialogue and action. The lack of conventional grammar and punctuation creates a dreamlike, sometimes disorienting reading experience, immersing readers in a world where structure itself seems broken. The prose itself becomes a tool for conveying both environmental and emotional emptiness. Fact 18. Father-son moral lens. The father and son's relationship is central, yet the moral dynamic between them is unusual. The father teaches survival and caution, but also the importance of moral integrity, emphasizing that carrying the fire means preserving humanity despite dire circumstances. This moral emphasis in a world stripped of law or community is strange. The child serves as the ethical compass, often questioning his father's decisions and reminding readers that morality persists even in extreme conditions. The interplay creates a narrative tension where survival and morality must coexist, offering a philosophical layer rarely explored in survival fiction. Fact 17. Ambiguous threats. McCarthy never fully explains the origins of the apocalypse, and much of the danger remains ambiguous. Raiders, starvation, and environmental decay are ever present, but the source of catastrophe is undefined. This ambiguity heightens the novel's weirdness. Readers are left in a constant state of unease, unable to fully comprehend the world's mechanics. The undefined threat forces focus on human reactions rather than external causes, creating a narrative that examines character, ethics, and resilience instead of plot-based explanations. Fact 16. Unrelenting tension. The Road maintains a constant sense of dread and uncertainty. Each encounter, whether with strangers or environmental hazards, carries a psychological weight, reflecting the fragility of existence in an extreme landscape. This tension is unusual because it is sustained over the entire novel. Unlike traditional thrillers, the suspense derives not from action sequences, but from existential uncertainty. The reader shares in the character's constant vigilance, experiencing an immersive anxiety that blurs the line between narrative and real-time emotion. Fact 15. Sparse world building. Unlike many dystopian novels, The Road provides minimal background about the world before the catastrophe. McCarthy drops hints of societal collapse, but rarely elaborates. This unusual approach creates a universal, almost allegorical feel. Readers focus on survival and relationships rather than political or historical context. The minimalism contributes to the novel's strange, dreamlike quality, emphasizing existential rather than historical concerns. Fact 14. Ethical extremes. Survival in the novel raises morally complex questions. The characters encounter scarcity, prompting choices about sharing resources or trusting strangers. The novel explores ethical dilemmas in extreme form, asking what morality means when civilization collapses. This unusual ethical focus differentiates it from typical survival fiction. McCarthy challenges readers to consider the value of human decency, even when survival is at stake, creating a narrative tension between instinct and conscience. Fact 13. The fire symbol. Carrying the fire is a recurring metaphor in the book. It symbolizes hope, humanity, and moral responsibility. The father imparts this idea to his son as a guiding principle amid devastation. The symbolic nature of the fire is unusual in its subtlety. It is never physically described as miraculous, yet it defines the character's ethical behavior. Readers are drawn into a meditation on resilience and morality, highlighting McCarthy's focus on psychological rather than fantastical elements. Fact 12. Unnamed characters. Most characters, including the father and son, are never named. Cities, towns, and other survivors are also largely anonymous. This anonymity creates a strange universality. By leaving characters unnamed, McCarthy emphasizes roles, morality, and choices over identity. It also adds a surreal quality, making the story feel like a parable or allegory, enhancing its philosophical depth. Fact 11. Fragmented dialogue. Dialogue is often sparse, fragmented, and without quotation marks. This stylistic choice mirrors the character's minimalist existence and the desolate landscape. The weird effect is that conversations feel intimate, yet disjointed. Readers must infer emotion and intent, experiencing communication in its rawest form. The style enhances immersion and emphasizes psychological realism over conventional storytelling. Fact 10. Paradox of hope. Despite pervasive bleakness, the novel maintains a faint glimmer of hope, primarily through the father-son bond. The constant threat and struggle make moments of care, kindness, and warmth profoundly meaningful. The paradox is unusual. In a world of near-total despair, small acts of love carry enormous significance. This amplifies the psychological impact, making readers acutely aware of moral and emotional choices amid adversity. Fact 9. Intermittent flashbacks. McCarthy occasionally intersperses memories of a lost world, hinting at life before a catastrophe. These flashbacks contrast sharply with the barren present. The weird effect is the disruption of linear narrative. Memories appear fragmented, dreamlike, and often disorienting. They serve to underscore loss, nostalgia, and the stark transformation of human existence. Fact 8. Ambiguous ending. The novel's ending is deliberately ambiguous. While some closure is provided, the future of the boy remains uncertain. This unresolved conclusion contributes to the novel's strange power. Readers are left contemplating moral choices, resilience, and the human condition, rather than expecting narrative closure. It reflects the unpredictability of life and survival. Fact 7. linguistic precision. McCarthy's sparse prose is meticulously precise. Words are carefully chosen to convey desolation, emotion, and moral tension with minimal description. This unusual economy of language forces readers to fill gaps with imagination. It also intensifies psychological immersion, making the landscape and emotions feel both real and otherworldly. Fact 6. Everyday objects transformed. Ordinary items, food, carts, clothing, take on heightened significance due to scarcity. They are treated almost as symbols rather than mundane objects. This strange treatment underscores the shift from civilization to survival. Familiar objects are transformed into markers of life, death, and ethical choices, highlighting the novel's philosophical undertone. Fact 5. Dreamlike narrative flow. The novel's pacing, sparse descriptions, and fragmented thought processes create a dreamlike, almost hypnotic reading experience. This stylistic choice makes the world feel both real and surreal. Readers experience disorientation, mirroring the characters' emotional and psychological states and amplifying existential tension. Fact 4. Humanity in extremes. McCarthy examines both cruelty and compassion. Encounters with other survivors show the spectrum of human behavior under extreme pressure. This focus on moral extremes rather than action is unusual. It challenges readers to consider the essence of humanity in a stark, stripped-down environment. Fact 3. Subtle religious undertones. Though not overtly religious, the novel contains spiritual undertones. Carrying the Fire and ethical guidance echo themes of faith, hope, and morality. The subtlety is strange. Faith is psychological rather than institutional, emphasizing personal responsibility and moral endurance over doctrine. Fact 2. Existential philosophy. The novel engages with existential themes, the meaning of life, mortality, and moral choice. McCarthy explores how humans navigate a world devoid of societal structures. This focus on existentialism makes the book weirdly philosophical for a post-apocalyptic narrative. It's as much a meditation on being as a survival story. Fact 1. Minimalist horror. Impact. The Road conveys horror not through explicit violence, but through isolation, desolation, and psychological tension. The absence of civilization and moral certainty is profoundly unsettling. The weirdest fact is that the horror is almost entirely psychological. Readers experience dread and anxiety as an internalized moral and existential phenomenon, making the novel uniquely intense and memorable. Closing remarks. The Road remains one of literature's most haunting, stripped-down explorations of survival, morality, and human resilience. It challenges readers to confront isolation, ethical dilemmas, and existential uncertainty without providing easy answers. Whether you find it disturbing, enlightening, or strangely beautiful, its spare prose and philosophical depth continue to captivate readers worldwide. If you've watched this entire video, you've explored 20 of the most fascinating, weirdest, and thought-provoking aspects of McCarthy's masterpiece. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of literature's bleakest yet most human stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content. Exploring the intersections of literature, philosophy, and the human condition.